Alrighty, so now that we've started the recording, sorry about that, we'll review all of the different platforms. So David, let's talk a little bit about what MyRotary does, if you would like to.
I can do that. And I apologize, my camera is not in front of my monitor, so I'm gonna have to turn around just a little bit to do this. Let's see. Got to share the screen first.
I've got it shared, David. You can just read the slides. So
You've already got, which one are you? Okay.
your slide on MyRotary.
Oh, okay, MyRotary. Okay, my Rotary has all kinds of information, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to get in there, how to update your personal information. She's got there the goals in Rotary Club Central. I'm going to show you in a little bit how to get in here, but also there are club reports, particularly membership reports and foundation reports are two of the main ones that you might want to get out for your club. And then the club data is another thing that we have to make sure that we're updating from time to time. Our venues change, our times change. Maybe there are lots of things that may change within the club, and you want to make sure that that's current for Rotary. Okay. And then this one is a very important one. We're going to be talking a little bit in a couple of weeks, a couple of sessions, I think it is, about invoicing and things like that. This club balance report shows if your club owes dues to Rotary International, and the district governor gets a report on that several times a year, so that we know the clubs that haven't paid them, and then they start bugging you. But you want to be able to look at that yourself too. Go ahead. And this is the invoice. You know, what's the latest invoice they sent, and the list that they have of the members, which may be a little different. Looks like somebody else is trying to get in. Can you let them in, Jill?
Sure.
Yeah. So
I don't.
you don't see it?
There's nobody in the waiting room.
I just saw something pop up. It was an email. Let me double check.
No, there's no one in the waiting room. So
Okay. Okay, Sharon Lariskus is trying to get in. Okay. Let's see.
Is she the secretary for the Rotary Club of Carbondale?
Carbondale, yeah. Invalid meeting. I'm using the link she got yesterday. Did anyone else use the link that I sent yesterday? Or did you have it down already?
I had used the one from before.
Okay. I'm going to tell her to go to the district calendar.
I'll just stop that
Okay.
if it makes it easier for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we're back. Okay. We were talking about, I think I've already covered the last thing that popped up there, which was about foundation reports and club reports and all that. And also all of your contributions to Polio Plus will show in this club foundation recognition report. We can look at that a little later. Yeah, Lanny says that he clicked the link in the DACDB calendar. So, okay. Okay. Now, did you want me to go ahead and walk into the Rotary thing now, Jill?
No, that's all right. We'll go ahead. We'll do that first. And the last thing that's on there is search the official directory. So you can find a member, which is important when you're adding new members to your club. There may be someone that's already listed in Rotary who may not have been a Rotarian, but maybe they're connected and they actually have an RI number. So we'll go into that a little bit more with the official directory.
Yeah.
So what do we use DACDB for? There's a clue in the name, district and club database. So David just had the highlights of what you'll use MyRotary for. That's at Rotary International, but we have administrative tools and communication needs within our district and within our club. So we're going to go deeper into the system throughout each of these sessions and kind of go through the different tabs. How do you do some of the settings that will talk to RI. How do you find a member in your club? How do you edit the club information, which will include who's doing what? Your leadership team and your roles may change throughout the year. And when you're getting ready for the upcoming year, it's really important that those get entered correctly, not only for the district and the club, but also because our system does talk to Rotary International. You will hopefully add a whole bunch of new members in the upcoming year. And it's important that we follow that process in order to make sure that your members are actually activated in Rotary International and that they receive the communication, for instance, the Rotary magazine, and also that your invoices are accurate, because you'll learn as we go through that a little bit more. The RI database is what matters. And sometimes we have a discrepancy. So how do you figure all those out? And that's a nice little tool that we can compare what is in what database to make sure that those reconcile. That will be one of the #1 roles that the club secretary will do throughout the year, not just a couple times throughout the year. It's an ongoing expectation to be able to compare that data and make sure the data is reconciled on both sides. And then sometimes you may need to help your members. We may need to help edit a member data. We may need to delete somebody, maybe somebody terminated, just a little bit of assistance. You'll also be able to do what you're going to see me do in a little bit. Allie, I'll give you a heads up. I'm actually impersonating you. So you'll be able to help your members by logging in as if you were them. So they can actually see through your guidance what they're going to see on their screen. You can help reset passwords, for instance. You'll be able to help send communications. You may not be the only one in your club to do that, but it may be something that your club president may ask of you if they're not comfortable. So they might actually craft the message, but you'll disseminate it. So we're going to go through a basic and then we'll go through the advanced way to use not only email, but also text throughout the system if that's how your club prefers to communicate. And there are ways that you can actually set up templates. So we'll get a little further into that. Adding meetings to the calendar. Most of you, sounds like you clicked on the link in the meeting on the calendar, but that might be something that your club would want to utilize a little bit more. And you also might be the one that will need to guide your members in how to register for events, maybe like a district conference or a district assembly or one of your club events. There are ways that we can use the system to integrate to bulletins and websites. And there's actually a newsletter embedded into the system. So you can do a whole lot with it. Now, this has just been a quick high-level overview, but I'd like to just stop for a second to ask if anyone has a question on the overview of when do we use MyRotary and when would we use DACDB, just from a high-level view. Are there any questions about that? Just raise your hand in your reactions menu. There's a raise hand icon. Or if you can't find that, just put it in front of your face so we can see you. If you have any questions.
Mary, have you got a question?
No,
You look quizzical.
I always look this way, Dave.
Too serious.
It's been a tough year.
Yeah. I will say, just kind of backing down a little, backing up just one little bit. Hi, Sharon. Sorry that the confusion.
Hi.
I don't know what happened. Because I checked that code and everything against what was in the other. So yeah, okay. In general, now this is just general. We use DACDB to enter the members' data. We get into RI to do a little more high-level correction and stuff. If things work well between DAC and Rotary, everything syncs up from DAC to Rotary. It's when those things don't sync that we have problems, and you guys end up calling me or I call you to find out why it isn't syncing up. So that's just a kind of a general avenue. The one thing I reviewed today, and I forgot to even tell this to Jill. This data is for our use. It isn't to share to anyone. You cannot share it to people. You cannot take your club data and give it to the Chamber of Commerce, for instance. You shouldn't be doing things like that. Rotary data is for Rotary use only. And they're very clear in their usage about this. Sometimes it looks like someone sending emails from Rotary or DACDB, and that isn't the case. It's usually, when people do that, they are data miners that get this information. But this stuff is secure. We want to make sure that no one knows your information. One of the clubs is real worried about birth dates. About the only people that can see a birth date in that whole thing is probably me, maybe Jill, and a couple of other people in the district. Most people cannot see your birth date. We can see your year or your date and month, but not your year. So all of this stuff is very secure. And I just wanted to make that point today.
So why don't we go ahead and go into Rotary.org and start learning of some of the resources that you have available, that you can do some of the training on your own, as well as the wealth of information that you can provide as a resource to your club.
Yeah. Let me get back over here where I can share. Now that should be sharing the Rotary. Is that correct?
Yep,
Mhm.
you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So this is the public face of Rotary International. As you can see up here in my address bar, it's rotary.org. And it shows everything that the public can see when they get into Rotary. So there's a lot of things in here about all of the things that Rotary has, things about Rotary, how you can get involved with Rotary, our causes, our programs, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is where you go. Have all of you got a MyRotary account in this bunch? I think you probably should, don't you?
Yes.
Allie, do you have one?
I do.
Okay. Well, that makes it easier than for what we're going to do. So this is how you get in. If someone in your club does not have a MyRotary account, they start here and then go over here to where it says for members. And when you click that, you will be given two choices. You can register for an account. If they don't have one, you can help your member register for an account so they can get into this thing. And then once they get the account, they can sign into MyRotary. And this will be an email verification. And I'm not sure how long it takes now. It doesn't take very long. It's a pretty quick process. So then once you do that, you can sign into MyRotary. And as you see here, I've already saved mine, so I don't have to do anything. And then it will get me right into MyRotary, and you can see the things in here that we are going to be doing.
Dave, I got a quick question. So when they're setting up their account, they need to have their Rotary number, correct?
They do need to have their Rotary
Okay.
number, and you can either get that from DACDB or Rotary yourself.
Okay.
Once they are registered and the sync occurs between DACDB and MyRotary, there should be a Rotary number generated. If there's not, that's when we have problems. And if that happens, then that's when we have to do troubleshooting between me and you and everyone else. And
Where's another place they can find their Rotary number? Who knows?
Magazine.
Yeah, on the address label of the Rotary magazine.
If they've been around for a while and they're getting the magazine, they'll have that. But if it's a brand new member, you're not going to get it there. So we're going to have to do some more searching and stuff.
Yeah.
Jill said it a minute ago. We've had some really serious issues in the past where someone was a member of a club, even in a different country. They come and then we add them to the Carbondale Breakfast Club, for instance, and they're still got a number in Peru or somewhere, and it gets all screwed up, and it takes forever to unscrew those things that happen like that. So just make sure that if someone is an old Rotary member, that you try to get their Rotary number somehow, some way. So this is what you see once you actually log into MyRotary. Let me drag this over. I'm going to drag this over a little bit so I can see it a little better from my point of view. Okay.
We're seeing your Google screen.
You got the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Okay, let me change my share. Sorry, Jill. That's what I got for having 3 screens here, folks. Okay, there we go. I'll just leave it there for now. It's a lot easier. So these are all of the things that you can do with this MyRotary. This home will take you to clubs. And so my club should be the Carterville Area Rotary Club. This is my club. My district, if I click that, it will show Rotary District 6510. there's an idea exchange for different groups. There's action, ways to give and things like that. Dan's going to really lead us into this a little later about managing. So in managing, when you get into this, there either is a club and district administration. Club administration will let you do your club. District administration is what I do or what the district governors do when we take care of things. We have a tab here for the Rotary Foundation and some of the things that we do in there. We got media things, newsletters and all kinds of things. And we got a member center that talks to us about all the tools and the services and all the things that we need to know how to do in order to be good Rotarians. What I was going to do right now was to show you this learning and reference. If you have not been into the Learning Center and done some training there, this is where you start. So learning and reference, you can learn by role or learn by, when I do this, I can do a club role. So let's say, come on now. So let's say we're doing secretary training now. If I do that, I can click on secretary. And it will come up with a lot of different things that you can do. And one of the things that you can do is in the Learning Center here, if you click again, all of these are hyperlinks, by the way. And so if you click in the Learning Center, there'll come up a whole set of topics of things that you can do as a club secretary.
I'll take that screen.
Pardon?
And I'll take the screen and switch over then.
Okay, yep.
All right, so I've kind of, just for the sake of time, I teed up the Learning Center. If you've not been on there, I really encourage you to not only get familiar for your role, but to encourage your members. Some of our members may find information in here that they're just not finding in their clubs, so it can be very inspiring to them as well. And in this case, from a training standpoint, one of the things we ask each of you to do is to take the secretary courses within the Learning Center. So if you had to guess what button I would click to find the secretary courses, what would be your guess?
Club leadership.
It wasn't too tough. If that's the toughest question we got all day, we're going to be good. So when I click on club leadership, you'll see we have a bunch of different options, but these are packaged very conveniently, and you'll see there's a club secretary basics. When you click on club secretary basics, you'll see there are actually 12 courses. And this is designed, you can see some of them I've gone through, some of them I haven't. These are designed at your own pace, at your own convenience, to walk through getting started with the Learning Center. Honestly, if you got this far, you probably don't need that course, just saying, but it is one of the options. Get Ready Club Secretary is probably one of the best things that you can do right now. It will go a little more in depth. We've just kind of scratched the surface, but the importance of your role. I always say the secretary is probably the most powerful person in the club, because there's so many things that you will be the hub for. And I know for many of you, this isn't a new role. You've done it in the past, but for some of you, it is a new role. So don't let that intimidate you, because you're not alone. You have a lot of resources to help you, and it's going to be beneficial to go through these different courses at your own leisure. When you get done, you can actually get a certificate. Whoop, whoop. You can get badges on the Learning Center. You can really get into this if you want. Some of the information will be broad. So for instance, using a club management system, we use DACDB. So remember, Rotary.org is Rotary International. So this is not the place you would go to learn all things DACDB. This is just a little bit of the surface of how Rotary connects to a third-party club management system. Rotary Club Central resources will be valuable. One of the things we mentioned earlier, the tools in MyRotary. So working with your club president is helpful, and it may be your club president that leads this, or it could be you that leads this. You can share what goals have been entered for the year, and more importantly, share it throughout the year with your club members to see your progress towards your goals. It's just a higher probability to achieve a goal if everyone has buy-in and they know what we're trying to achieve. If we never share that, it was a great thing we did at PETS, and which is President-elect Training Seminar for those who may not have been a president-elect yet. If we just do it there and don't use it throughout the year with our club leadership and our club members, we've missed a huge opportunity. So again, this is just all living in the Learning Center under Club Secretary Basics. There are other courses that may be of interest to you that you'd like to go through, but at this point in the year, that is the most important thing to do. All right, I'm going to stop share with that. Any other questions so far about what we can find on MyRotary?
Just to let you know, the other major one is Club Runner. So you'll hear people that transfer in, like we have a transfer from Colorado now, and he always talks about Club Runner. And I do know, I've heard the name before, and so maybe somebody else will hear it, like, what's that? So that's the competitor to DACDB.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some certain clubs and districts use that, but we just happen to use DACDB, and we pay for that for all of our clubs to use.
Right.
Yeah, so you guys are getting everything in this, and it's paid for by the district at this point.
Thank you. All right, so good segue. I'm going to switch over to DACDB a little bit, and I'm actually going to scoot some things around here. So let's talk about the different security levels within DAC, and then I will switch over and actually go through the screen. And Allie, I have borrowed your identity, so I will preface it by saying I'm going to be you.
All right.
Is that, I should have asked your permission, but thank you.
You know enough about me as it is. You know.
I figured it would be safe. All righty. So as we look at the different security levels, that's one of the things. This is a crazy world we live in. Data privacy is critical, and you as secretary are one of the key protectors of your members' privacy. Now, there are certain data analytics that we really want to have on our members, and it's important that they understand how their data is protected. You will have the opportunity as a level 4 security level to change other members' security levels. So one of the little housekeeping things you may want to do is to make sure we don't have too many people with too much access that shouldn't be. So the general members can do what they should do. They can handle their own stuff. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more at our next session with how do you do the My Data tab. So general members can maintain their own records. They can view public data in the member and club databases. They could send a message to an individual member, but they can't send messages out to the entire club, for instance. They can't see the birth years. They can't see private information. You may have committee chairs. So if you're in a, say you have a special event coming up and you have a committee that is formed. Well, the committee members could work on their own record. They could also view the public information, and they could work within their committee. That means they could add members to their committee. They could remove people from their committee. They could send reports to each other within the committee. They could email or text members of their committee. I don't see the event moderator used as much. That's kind of one step beyond a committee. That is a limited access just during a specific time frame. So a committee chair, maybe it's the membership committee, and you've got 5 people on your membership committee in the club. That would be lovely, by the way. So the event might be, well, we're doing an auction this year, and this is the team that's going to work on the auction. Most people kind of marry those two. But what you will all be is a level 4, which is a club officer. So by default, when your role is entered as secretary-elect, and then you will turn over to secretary 1 July, you will have access to all members' information in the club, which means you can assist any member in the club. You can see all the records in the club. David mentioned early, somebody was saying about birth dates. You can see the birth year of your members, but the other members cannot. They may see month and day, but they won't necessarily see birth year. It is really important that we get all the birth years in there because it's hard to know your demographics without that. Again, you can add and delete members anywhere in any of the aspects of the club, either into the club membership, a committee, or an event. You can do reports that are specific to your club. You can add things to the calendar that are specific to your club, and you can email or text any member in your club. So that's the security level that you will have. Your assistant governor can do things like that for all of their areas, but you won't necessarily be able to see another club information, just your club. So we're going to start with some high level. We're not going to go too far in it today. I'm just going to hit a few of the topics. And then again, part of this training is helping you know how to fish. We want you to know where your resources are to learn what you want and the timing that you need to use it. So when you go onto the homepage, you'll notice that the district has some information that we feel is important to all the members. A little plug for the training that you're experiencing. So thank you for participating in that. Each month, Rotary International has a theme. So the month of May is Youth Services Month. So you'll usually see something in this main dashboard area that has something to do with the theme month. You will see information on the current governor. You'll see information on the current year. And if your club is using this system, you may see additional information towards the bottom on your club. I'm part of the Rotary Club of O'Fallon, so you can see that. But I also have access beyond that, so I'm seeing other club information. Like here's an upcoming event in Swansea. So that main general area is just kind of a FYI place to post notices that you would want everyone to know in your club. Going to shift gears over to the far right to the support training tab. So the support training tab is a wealth of resources, and it's almost overwhelming with all the information that's on here, but it is a good place for you to start receiving some training and receiving information. If you want to learn more about DACDB, they do have periodic training. You'll see they have what they call DACDB University, where you can actually watch the video of some of the sessions that they've done over time. So if you wanted to know something about a particular topic, the support training tab is the best place to go, because it will give you information on, let's say I want to do something with the attendance, and David's going to share some information on that in a little bit, that you can get more information. So if I want to know how to, I'm trying to find something that would be basic, but we'll just say weekly attendance. So it's going to go right to that information. If I wanted to know something about what are the different member types that I could, when I'm entering a new member, I could go to member type, and it's going to give you a list of these are all the different designations that you can have within your club. So they can be active. They can be active but on a leave of absence. You can have an honorary member. They can be alumni. They can just be a guest that you want in your database, but they're not an active RI member. So all kinds of different options. You can propose new members. So these are some of the things we're going to keep getting into throughout the courses. So again, helpful tools, officer fundamentals. You can kind of see club management tasks, a lot of things that we're going to be going through in this training. There are videos in the support and training module. So the big thing is to know you're going to have access to the generals, the My Data, which is your information. Good job, Allie, on your picture. My Club, which we're going to focus on quite a bit more at our next training session in detail. But notice each of these little icons on here will give you access to different information. And there is a little cog wheel in the top right of many of these screens. So there are other icons that are available. If you don't see something that you want to, let's say I wanted to have the attendance module on my main screen, I can move it up here, I can move it around, I can put it wherever I want on my screen. And then you can just set that configuration and it'll put it on your screen. So I know I've been doing a whole lot of talking with this. So My Data and My Club is where you'll see most information. You also have a district tab, which will take you to district events. So again, just in summary, DACDB is District and Club Administration. So what are you going to use it for? You're going to use it for all things within your club. I'm going to talk to my club. I'm going to make sure my club data is correct. I'm going to communicate within my club. And I also can use the tools in the district. I'll communicate within my district. I'll have notifications from the district, register for events that are at club level or district level, and make sure everything is cleaned up. So when it talks to Rotary International, it's accurate. So much of your data entry will actually be done in the DACDB system. And the more you get your members to own their data, the easier your job is. So part of your job is going to be continually nudging people who just don't want to touch the buttons, to not be afraid to touch the buttons, because they know their stuff much better than you ever will. All right, kind of the superficial view, but I'll stop here for any questions that you may have. And David, I did mute you because we had some background noise. So if you want to say something, you'll have to unmute. Sorry.
Well,
David.
I've actually been secretary for almost a year now, so I figured out a fair amount of this with some help from the previous secretary and, trial and error. But my concern at the moment is the fact in DACDB, where our current attendance module is, I'm getting a warning saying this is no longer valid. It's going to change. Are we going to learn how to do whatever the new thing is at some point?
Yeah.
Yes, the next
Good segue.
session,
Perfect.
the next session, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
There's a
Everything
video
is-
on it too, if you want.
Yeah, there's one, Dan.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
video on how to do it. They did
Yes.
it at DACDB University.
Yeah, DACDB University, the
Okay.
engagement module is just it takes into account more action-oriented things than just attending meetings.
Okay.
And our club has been using it all year. For the whole time we've been using DACDB, our district has paid for the attendance module for all the clubs to use. That's kind of an add-on, but we've
Okay.
done that. But it's going to be engagement starting July 1, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
what they're saying?
That's correct.
And so just Sharon, Dan's right. Go to the DACDB University and there's a module on engagement. Or
Okay.
go into that support tab that Jill was showing you earlier and search for engagement. It will show you how to do it. But we are going to talk about that next time.
Okay.
One of the things that Jill was showing the screen there, and I never did see this, and Allie had a good picture, and I'm really glad to see that she had a good picture, because we have clubs that don't have pictures. And it's not,
So I'm sorry to steal. I found under the support training,
yep,
under the DACDB training, the DACDB University.
right, that's what.
It was
that's
kind of
for.
hiding down here towards the bottom.
Yep.
And you'll see that it has
attendance.
attendance to engagement, and that's where you'll
Yeah.
find the video that Dan was
Yeah,
referencing.
and that's January 4th is that one is there, so.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dan, for pointing
there
that
are
out.
tons and tons of videos. That support tab is excellent, and many people just use that to learn things. And
You want to explain a little bit more, David, how we're going to handle that at the district? And because I know some of our clubs are very deep in their tradition of attendance and how we've always managed it, and they always get a love note on the 15th if they didn't enter it. How are we handling that now at the district level from administration moving into the
Well,
next year?
from administration, we haven't really been keeping a real. There is a report on attendance that goes to the district governor, and the clubs are keeping that. Most of them. We don't really get onto you if you don't turn it in anymore. I mean, used to you'd get a detention note or something from the district governor, but now it's just kind of loose. When it goes to engagement, it's up to you. If you want to just use the engagement module to keep track of attendance, fine. I mean, you can do that, and it's part of the module. But the beauty of this, it allows you to track projects and Rotarian involvement in the project, so you can account for the time that the club is actually doing things. And that's my club has been I know that Terry's club has been doing this for a long time. My club's been doing it the last couple of years, and we everything that we do, we get accounted for in that engagement module.
So in some of the clubs in Alley, we're going to have this in O'Fallon just because We're doing things the way we've always done it. We still report makeups every week.
Mhm.
One of the things that's going to be important if your club is like that you help educate the incoming leaders that this is all changing. And anytime there's a cultural shift, sometimes that might be a challenge. So the way I've always presented the shift from engagement or from attendance to engagement, think of it as a perpetual makeup. It's kind of what engagement is. We've always called them makeups. Now this is just a new way to enter what our members are doing and how they're engaged within the community. So that might be an easier transition for some of our leaders that are a bit set in their ways and don't like change, to help them see this is just the new way that we're going to be documenting who does what and when within the database. Just a little spin on that may help.
And like I said, we will talk about that next time. We're going to actually be talking about the data and the club data and how to enter new members and makeups and all that stuff next time. But that engagement module will come in big for this next session.
Sharon, did that answer your question? Good. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, why don't we shift now back to MyRotary. So remember, Rotary.org is the public face. MyRotary is the member portal. But your job as club secretary will require you to go to the next level. Now, Rotary takes privacy very seriously, as we've mentioned. There are certain things that there are only 2, maybe 3 people in your club can get to, and that's it. So Dan has very graciously agreed to help screen share what the club administration side of MyRotary looks like and why you would use that. So the club president and the club secretary will have access to that. If in the club administration you have identified an executive secretary, I think that's still the term that it's used, you can have a third person that has access to that. Some clubs have more of an executive secretary, somebody who just always has access to that no matter who is coming in leadership. Others may just have you and the president. So that's important for you to know in your club how that works. So Dan, I'm going to let you take it away and screen share all about club administration.
Make it, let's see, this is it. I think that's what you want, Jill, right?
Yep, that's the start. And then the manage side for club administration.
Actually, I have.
Or however you get into, there's a couple different ways to get into things in MyRotary, you'll find.
You want to see members? Is that, I set these link shortcuts up, but.
Could you just start at the beginning because they're not going to have that set up on theirs? Thanks. So if you would just go to manage club, there you go.
Club administration.
Thank you. And then maybe share, because I know you've been doing this a long time, what kind of things do you go to club administration for as a club secretary?
If somebody's transferring in when somebody transfers into the club, it helps me to figure out, especially if their data has been in Club Runner. If they're not in DACDB from another club, then you can't transfer them in using DACDB. You have to go to MyRotary and transfer them into your club there, and then they'll show up through Rotary RI Compare in DACDB from that standpoint. So it's a little bit different if they're like in Carbondale. There are people that move here from all over the place as faculty members, and sometimes they come as Rotarians out there. So, and it probably happens in O'Fallon too, but it just depends on. That's the most common thing that I have.
If you could maybe scroll down and show them some of the topics.
Certainly.
Yeah, thank you. So you'll see there's club finances, the club and member data. That's actually, we're going to go into the club invoice quite a bit here when we have the secretaries. You will have one joint training with secretaries and treasurers, by the way. So the member data is exactly what Dan was referring to. How do you find people that might have data elsewhere? And then the update club data, we just kind of went by that one a little bit. That's, you're wearing the Rotaract, but that's all right. Because you have a Rotaract club, do you have Rotaract information on yours? Not every club will have
No,
that.
actually, no.
Oh, you don't have it anymore? Okay. Up there it is, update club data. So again, a lot of this you may put into DACDB and it'll flow through, but this is a place you can kind of reconcile. Some of our clubs are not meeting in the same location and they're not meeting at the same place every month. So maybe they're doing, the second Tuesday of the month, they're doing a social. And if I'm traveling and I want to visit a Rotary Club, one of the requirements of a Rotary Club is that your name and your location be someplace that everyone could find you if they chose to. So it's really a bit of a challenge as we've got more flexible with our club formats to make sure that we're keeping that information updated. So if I'm traveling, it's the second Tuesday of the month and I want to come to your club, that you're not meeting there, you're going to be meeting up the street at the restaurant for a social. So again, that's, you'll see there's a good description. SIUC student Cambria room. So if I wanted to go to Carbondale Breakfast Club, I would be able to know how to find them. If I just showed up at SIU Carbondale, it's going to be a while before I figure out what location I might be able to find this meeting. So again, as descriptive as you can, and see they've got the notes. Where do you even park? Because you can't just park anywhere you want on a college campus. So good example. Your charter date, that's in there. That's important when you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm just kind of looking at other stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. So across the top, we've got club details. You'll see the members, finance, reports, and goals. So there are different sections that you can go to. So add a member, manage officers, and you'll see that we've got some information that probably we wouldn't want to share with anyone, but we've got their ID numbers. If there's a discrepancy, you can reconcile by looking up what is their member ID. Finance, we'll go through that in a little more, but we're not going to have access to all of these screens. So Dan, we may lean on you again when we get to the finance section, but that's where you're going to find your club invoices. We live in a digital world. Some of our clubs are used to the snail mail. Well, I never got it. It's now the responsibility of our club officers to go and get it, not wait for it to arrive. So some of these things we got to be a little more proactive with, going into the administration system. So you can see, the balance is there, the current invoice. The treasurer can also get into this information. But sometimes the treasurer is somebody behind the scenes that doesn't do a lot of the database. Maybe they're the accounting firm that says, just give me the invoice and I'll pay it.
So Jill, as a secretary, are we responsible for a lot of this financial stuff?
You will be notified if it doesn't get done. So, and again, we're going to do the secretary and treasurer training as a one session where you're both together, so you can kind of see how your roles integrate.
Okay.
So the secretary's role is more about the communication of what needs to be done and a little bit of the accountability to make sure it gets done.
Okay.
Would be the best way to
With our clubs, we often with the district level, we email all of the club officers with the invoices, because what we found over the years is one person may say, well, that's not my job, and they don't do it. But if you give it to all the club officers, your job as the secretary is to make sure that it does get done. So when you get that, just communicate with the club president, the treasurer, and everyone else, and make sure that this gets done. Because if you're not paying your dues to either the district or to Rotary International, there are serious consequences. Your club could be terminated, and we've had that happen in the past.
Yeah.
And then it costs money to get you back.
So one of the other things, in case we forget, when we talk about adding a member or transferring members, that's the same with a member. We need to verify they're in good standing. Not sure we're doing a great job with that. So let's say Dan has somebody from Carbondale Breakfast that's transferring into the O'Fallon Club. it's not just as easy as, okay, Dan, terminate them and then we'll pick them up. There should be a conversation, is that member in good standing? So typically the secretary or the membership chair of the club, depending on whose role that is in your club, would reach out to the former club to say, okay, Jane Doe has now indicated she wants to transfer into our club. One, I'd like to verify that she is in good standing. What does that mean? She's paid up. That's basically what that means. There are no outstanding bills. And then ask if they could terminate the membership in their current club, so then you can admit them into the new club. So that's usually a secretary to secretary conversation.
So do they have to be paid up before they can be transferred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. They can't move to a new club unless they're fully paid.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've had people in some clubs that haven't paid for 2 years. You know.
Yeah,
that
I know.
happens.
We've got a couple of those.
Yeah. So if they wanted to transfer to another club, they really shouldn't be allowed to, because your clubs are paying for these people, whether they're paying you or not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're paying, you're paying your dues and you're paying for their magazine, then to get a magazine and then to be a member of RI. If they're not paying you, it's just like you're fronting them.
Yeah.
So.
So Dan, is there anything else? And again, you're not in the club administration as much as we once were, if DAC and RI are talking nicely. This is really more of a, we got to go get something extra or to reconcile. So when else, is there anything else that you can think of, Dan, that you go to club administration directly instead of doing it in DAC?
I had a problem with somebody that I didn't have his start date correct. He was, and I had to reconcile that through Rotary International in order to get it to show up in DAC appropriately. I had to, it was his Rotary, he had prior Rotary experience. And so I had to go to him and ask him when he started in Rotary with another club, and then enter that into through Rotary International, and then DACDB picked that up and started to count the amount, his total involvement in Rotary. So that's just another example.
And there are certain times where you may just get to something that cannot be reconciled. Multiple RI numbers. So someone may have been an alumni, maybe they were in one of our youth programs, or someone made them an honorary Paul Harris Fellow. So they actually have a Rotary International number and they're entered into the club as a new member without checking that first. So when you start getting duplicate RI numbers, it gets kind of messy. So there is a very important email you might want to write down. It's data@rotary.org. The days of being able to call a human being are just not there anymore, unfortunately. Your quicker answer will be emailing, and that is a monitored email by multiple people. So data@rotary.org, if you just have something that you cannot reconcile. And as the secretary, they will listen to you. You'll say, here's my club number. So can you show them where to find the club number? Again, it's on DAC as well, but it's on, when you first logged in, I think it said that, or club data, maybe. You'll let them know your club number, who you are, and why you have the authority to communicate on behalf of the club and what your problem is. And they'll usually help you work that out.
There's
So
my club number.
So that's important when you're communicating directly with Rotary International to help the issue. The more information you can give them, because obviously we have clubs and districts all over the world. So actually that whole first line would be helpful. Rotary Club of Carbondale Breakfast, Illinois, USA, District 6510. Our club ID is 26036. Here's my problem.
And the more data you can give them when you use that email address, the better it is. So giving the person's full name, not just their first and last name, their full name, and any prior addresses or any maiden names or anything like that, because we also have had people get messed up because they got married and then they transferred. And so the number, ended up with two numbers. And so all of this is important. And we're going to talk about data entry next time a little bit. and talk about, the timelines that are involved for getting things in on the right time. And Dan alluded to that, and some of you already know what I'm going to talk about, but we'll talk more about that next time.
Okay, well, thank you, Dan, for sharing club administration. Appreciate that. So as we wrap up, I'm going to do a quick share. I'm going to steal the screen. And we're going to kind of share with you a little bit more of the other sessions. Each of these sessions, again, is designed to build on each other. We've combined the calendars events with actually a different section, but to kind of give you an idea of how we've split up the training, and also your treasurer will be having separate training courses except for the one combined, which is really going to be all about invoicing and data integration to make sure that the clubs are following the four-way test, that you're being fair to all concerned with how your finances are working and how that's communicated. So you're paying for people who are actively paying the clubs, or you've made special arrangements if you've chosen as a club to help carry some of those fees. So our next session will be all about my data and my club. So we'll go through a little bit more of like how Allie had her picture on there. So why is that important? How do you help your members visually engage, not only with each other, but with people outside of the club? That's really important. If you're a new member and you saw somebody at your meeting and you can't remember their name, if you can see their picture, it's a lot easier to say, oh, that's right, that was Mary. I wanted to follow up with her about something. We're going to go into a lot of exercises. This will be, other than we put Dan on the spot with screen sharing, this will be the only meeting where you're not going to be sharing. So what we want you to do is get your hands dirty. This will be a proactive series of sessions. So we're going to actually have you share your screen and practice adding a member or terminating a member or editing a club position. Probably won't have you save it just so we don't screw up your club, but we want you to be comfortable in doing this. So come 1 July, you're ready to rock and roll. Going to go into multiple times the importance of RI integration, but how do you reconcile? How do you make sure that who is the master data? So you make sure you're correctly getting the accurate information transferred to the database that doesn't have the accurate. And then we're going to go into further detail with the communications, both basic P-mails as well as advanced P-mail and text, with setting up templates and getting as creative as you choose to be within your club. So lots of activity we have planned. Again, I know for some of you, a lot of this is review, but hopefully each of you will learn one thing in the sessions that maybe you had forgotten or you didn't know the first time.
Jill, if we miss a session, where are the Zoom where's it gonna be hung that we can go back to it?
Good question, Allie. On these recordings, we actually do have a District 6510 YouTube channel. And these courses, well, except I forgot to record at the very beginning here, will actually be recorded and they will be posted on our District 6510 YouTube channel. And we've set up a playlist called Secretary Training, so they will be easy to find.
Thank you.
All right, good question. So any final questions? Any, I know we've just scratched the surface, but any of our experienced members who would like to share something?
When is the next session going to be?
31st.
So glad you asked. Yes.
31st of May?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's not gonna. The 30th is Memorial Day, so
Right.
So
it'll be on
the-
Tuesday night next time.
And we've
Okay.
scheduled them all at 6 p.m. At District Assembly, we did kind of do a straw poll as to what time of day, what day of the week, when did people feel that it would be the best to not conflict with other things in their life, because we do realize you have a life outside of Rotary. Although my husband is not sure that I do. So,
Yeah, they're all on Monday except for that one.
Okay.
So,
great, thanks, Lanny, for the comment in the chat of in the YouTube, just general search for Rotary District 6510. So I'll render this video as soon as we get done and I'll get that posted out there. I know we had a lot of people that registered that were not able to participate. So if you have friends in other clubs, rattle their cages a little bit and tell them how wonderful the session was and how you really wish that they would have been here with you.
mhm.
David, any final thoughts?
Not really. I think just keep in mind that most of our data entry goes through DACDB, but as Dan was showing you, there are times you have to get into the dirty and go back to RI and work your way backwards. So we'll talk more about synchronizing and RI compare later on.
Thanks. And
Mhm.
another gentle nudge to your treasurers to please get registered. We haven't seen as many registered as we'd like. So they all have something to either learn or share. If they've been doing their job for a long time, we can learn from them too. All right. Thank you all for your time. I'm
Thank you.
going to stop the